Hello, everybody. Welcome into Cozy's Ghost Adventures. On a quiet evening in a sleepy village nestled deep into the woods, there was a small, eerie pond that locals would avoid after dusk. The water was dark and still, covered with a thick blanket of fog that never seemed to lift. The villagers whispered of strange happenings from there, and the air around the pond always seemed to hum with the unnatural energy. They spoke of a woman who had lived there long ago, known as Eliza, whose fate had become intertwined with the cursed waters. Eliza had been a young... What does that say? Oh, excuse me. Eliza had once been a young woman, vibrant and full of life, who loved to walk beside the pond every evening to escape her troubled thoughts. It was, you're not going to believe this. It was said that one night, as the moon rose high into the sky, she came across a strange creature, a massive bullfrog. Big, massive bullfrog, sitting on a large stone in the center of the pond. Its eyes gleamed like polished amber, and it croaked in a deep, resonant tone, almost as though speaking to her directly. Eliza, who had always felt a connection to nature, shall I say, was not frightened one bit, but was very intrigued. She began visiting the pond every single night, growing more captivated by the frog's strange presence and the massive size of the bullfrog. On one evening, as she approached the water, the bullfrog croaked again. This time, its voice seemed to echo in her mind, beckoning her ever so closer. Before she could even resist, she stepped into the water, her feet sinking deeper with each step, drawn by an unseen force. The fog around the pond thickened, and the water seemed to churn. She barely noticed the ripples as her body was pulled deeper and deeper into the dark abyss of the pond. Just as she reached the center, where the frog sat perched, she felt a sharp coldness grip her chest, as if the water itself was alive, devouring her. Eesh. Eliza vanished that night, her disappearance a mystery that baffled all the villagers. They whispered of strange shadows in the fog, and some even claimed to hear the croaking of the bullfrog from the depths of the pond. But her body was never found. Years and years passed, and the legend of Eliza and the giant bullfrog grew. It was said that on moonlight nights, the creature could still be seen on the stone, watching the water. Those who ventured near the pond after dark reported seeing a shadowy figure near the water's edge, her pale face drifting just above the surface, eyes wide and silent, eternal terror. And sometimes just before dawn, if one listened closely, the haunting croak of the bullfrog could still be heard. Unbelievable. huh? Wow. On one evening, a young woman named Sophie, new to the village, walked to the pond, unaware of its history. The mist was thick, and the air felt heavy once again. As she approached, the sound of the croaking echoed through the stillness. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. The bullfrog's enormous form appeared once again, sitting upon the stone in the center of the pond, its amber eyes fixed on her. Sophie, mesmerized, stepped closer, drawn to the frog, as Eliza had been so many years ago. But this time, the frog seemed to whisper her name. Cold voice, like a forgotten memory. Sophie felt the weight of something ancient and malevolent rising from the depths. The ground beneath her trembled, and she heard a voice in her mind, which was Eliza's voice, desperate and pleading. Leave while you still can, or you'll be part of the curse too. Before Sophie could react, the pond surged violently, pulling at her ankles. The giant frog croaked again, even louder this time, as though warning her. But it was too late. Sophie screamed, her voice lost to the depths of the murky water as she was dragged into the pond, disappearing without a trace. The villagers, hearing her cries, rushed to the pond. But the time that they arrived, the fog had cleared, and it was all silent once again. There was no sign of Sophie, but the giant bullfrog remained, his amber eyes glowing in the moonlight, watching with a knowing ancient gaze. And so, the legend continued, the pond's curse growing stronger, waiting for the next wanderer who would dare to hear its call. The ghost of Eliza, now part of the water, would forever be tethered to the giant bullfrog, both trapped in the haunting depths, waiting for the next soul to join them. I gotta say, for the first time reading that, I was hoping to hear a good story at the end. That was pretty damn sad. See you on the next one.